We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you.
Hello, welcome to IBD Determined. I'm your host, Mason Harvey, and I have Crohn's disease.
And I'm your host, Michelle Harvey, and I am Mason's mom, and I speak from the role of a caregiver. We're happy to have you guys back. We are on episode 15.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
Milestone.
Yeah, and today's just going to be kind of a smaller topic. It's something we've briefly talked about before, but we want to give it its own little episode here. Yeah. And it's about time management. And really, this relates to anybody, any chronic illness, but we're going to talk about it today in particular in regards to IBD, having Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. We're just going to kind of use our own experiences and share with you guys some of our tips and how we manage our time. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Sounds very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
It's worth your time. Oh.
Yeah, I know. I see what you did there.
That was funny. That really wasn't, but I tried.
Yeah. So let's get started. And we're going to go back to before Mason got sick. And, you know, I feel like when we talk about things, it's always like the before and the after. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like this break in our lives where we lived these normal seeming years. And then Mason was diagnosed and we have a new normal now. So before Mason was sick, it did feel like life was busy. And I didn't really have anything to compare to except our own experiences. And I just always thought, you know, gosh, we're so busy. I taught school with him because we did homeschool.
Best teacher.
And thank you. Yes. You don't have any homework due, right? You're not trying to just be nice. Okay. But anyways, life seemed probably like all of you listening busy. And I couldn't imagine anything else until Mason got sick. And once Mason got sick, I think that's when I at least really started to understand, you know, the meaning of being busy and what that meant, because you suddenly had this previous life that's continuing with this meeting up with this new life that is full of appointments and stress and financial changes.
Insurance, shots, infusions, the doctors.
Yeah. It was different for you too. I mean, this is my perspective as a caregiver, but from a patient, you know, I think that changed a lot for you too, because that changed how you went to school. It changed how you saw friends, family, activities, everything changed. So one of the things I like to remind people, and if you're listening and you have IBD, if you have an illness and you feel like people just don't get it, it's probably because they just don't get it. And they don't do that out of anything. It's not out of spite or, you know, anything like that. But I try to look back and I think, you know, we didn't understand this kind of thing to this extent. You know, I could empathize and say, man, that's rough. Yeah.
Like before I was diagnosed, I didn't ever knew what Crohn's disease was before the hospital.
Right. We didn't.
I never even knew it was like a thing. And then when like you are diagnosed with Crohn's disease, I was like, I never heard of that though. What is it? And so you don't really know what it is.
No. And even when we heard it that time, we had no idea.
I mean, if you have a friend, you might know, but
yeah. Because we didn't. Yeah. We just didn't know. Yeah. No, it's important to remember with anybody that with whatever they're going through, their lives may look very different than yours. You're thinking life is really busy, but it's a whole different level when you have these other commitments that really aren't fun. And it's very today. Yeah, it's not quite the same. No. So I try to just remind myself that people just like me before Mason got sick, we could understand that things would be difficult. But once you do get sick, or you do take care of someone who's sick, you really can understand the impact it has. It's important not to judge others for maybe how they see you and just explain to them, again, like we talk about all the time, Don't complain. No. Mrs. Mason's thing you came up with.
Don't complain. Explain.
Yeah.
Slogan.
Just make sure you take the time to kind of fill them in, and just know that they're going to relate to you on a certain level, but not completely. And that's okay. So also, the other thing I want to talk about is comparisons. And even with us, it's important for us not to compare ourselves to other families and think that's how our life should look and be disappointed. Everybody's going to be different, different phases of their treatment, different phases of the diagnosis. Things are going to always change. That's what's crazy with this disease. You're up, you're down, it's all over the place. So, you can listen to someone's story and use it to understand and help you not feel so alone, but just don't compare yourself directly, because it will be different. Some of you listening are not going to have our experience at all, and some of you are going to know exactly what we're talking about. It's okay to be able to tell people that you don't want to go somewhere and just don't have plans. We were just talking earlier about how sometimes not having any plans is the best plan.
Best plan, yeah.
So
sometimes you're so busy, not doing anything is fun.
It is, because you're running around so much, and you're
like, I'm just going to take a little break.
Yeah. So it's like when you finally have a day off, it's kind of like, oh, this is great. I don't have any plans. If you need to take time off and take time for yourself in all of this, don't feel bad about that at all. I think that's very healthy, and I think it's very important.
If you want it, it matters.
Exactly. It does. Mm-hmm. It does. I like that. All right. So let's kind of jump into the show here. And the first thing we're going to talk about are the difficulties of time management. Besides your regular life activities, which for a lot of you is extracurricular activities,
going to school,
out, work,
playing, the
all
fun
those things.
Stuff.
And so you have that all exists.
Yeah, it does.
And so you have to learn to coexist with this regular life.
Disease has to meet
and
work.
Yeah.
School.
All of that. They have to like kind of meet somewhere in the middle, and you have to find a happy ground.
And work together.
Yeah. And so just like all of you, we have regular life, and then we have IBD life. And that is a lot of appointments. You know that. It's a lot of appointments, and sometimes it's hard to even get to these appointments or run errands because of a flare. So that can also change how you manage your day and things that need to get done. Sometimes you have to cancel an appointment if you can't make it. Sometimes you can't run those errands and get groceries, simple things like that most people take for granted. And sometimes it's even hard to get to work, hard to go to school.
Yeah.
And
also, if you have to go get an infusion or a shot at the hospital, that will take a day, usually a day's worth of time. So you don't do school that day, and school's not just going to go away. You have to pick up.
For Mason, that's a really big challenge that I think a lot of people may not understand. And when you look at any of these kids, just know that they have to do what all the other kids are doing, plus handle the weight of disease, the treatments, the pain that they go through, plus having to do assignments on days that other kids have off because they're trying to catch up. So it can be a lot. And even with things like work, as a caregiver, I have to figure out ways to manage my time differently and make sure I have time for all my clients, have time for our family business that we run together, and for any other activities. So it can be a lot. And because of how it is set up and I'm home, I do the cooking, and that's something that we do a lot. And I think a lot of you who do have chronic illness, you can't go out as much. You don't always have the same options. You can't just pick up fast food. You can't just...
You have to customize it a bit at home.
Yes. You also have that stress too. And so that takes up part of the day. And I know for a lot of you who work, that's really tough if you get off like 6:30 or 7.
You have to cook.
You get home by that time after driving in traffic here, because traffic here takes... where we live in San Diego, it's crazy to go anywhere. It takes a lot of time just to get home from work. So we also had to deal with, when Mason was first home from the hospital, he was up all night. And so
almost like 4 times or 5 times or more than that in a night.
Yeah.
So it was hard to sleep because you'd be up, then you have to fall asleep again, get up, have to fall asleep again. You spend 30 minutes in the bathroom.
Right. It was a big deal. It was almost like from my perspective, having a newborn, it was actually more difficult because it is something that I think a lot of people don't take into account is the lack of sleep. And so that leads to a lack of energy. And plus, if you're anemic, or this disease also just causes a lack of energy in general, depending on how active the disease is, it's going to make it hard for you to manage your time the next day because you're going to have a hard time getting up. You're going to have a hard time getting motivated. So just that.
Is it tired?
Yeah, he knows. And it was tough for him, even with school. And so we accommodated him. We can because we homeschool, and we didn't want him to be held back or have to struggle in a classroom, and also being immunosuppressed. That also didn't help. But so there is that whole sleep routine that people don't really take into account that goes on with this disease. And then, your other thing you're trying to manage are insurance issues. And the reason kind of this topic came up is because last week we were dealing with insurance issues again. And the week before we were dealing with a separate issue on a payment. And so it's ongoing. So you'll have a day off and you spend that day. Like, what did we do on the day off? Because Dad was off too. And what did we end up doing?
Spend the whole day contacting insurance.
Yep. We were on the phone for hours, and it's a lot. So a lot of times people don't realize that even on your days off,
it's not necessarily a break.
Right. It's not. It's more work. It's just trying, okay, we've got this to get done. We got to get this, because on the weekends too, their places aren't open. So you have to get things taken care of.
Time.
Yeah. And so there's that a lot of you listening are understanding and saying this, it's like a full-time job, and things can change quick too. Mason can be feeling great one day and we can have everything planned out and think, okay, here's our schedule. And then Mason's not feeling so great and things have to change again. So flexibility is important, and just being able to adapt and still get things done, because again, things don't disappear. Just because you have to change your schedule or change your time doesn't mean that
you don't have to do
it. Still has to be addressed, just like anything. So one of the kind of common things I think we're going to have in common with all of you is school and work. What's going to be a little different is, Mason's homeschooled. So that's going to be a little different. It is a big help. It really is. And I think it's enabled Mason to learn in a much better environment where he is able to accommodate what his needs are and get everything done.
Free.
Yeah.
You can do school on the couch if your back hurts. You don't need a hall pass to go to the bathroom.
Right. Which those of you whose kids are in school, you probably have an IEP or a 504 plan, have something. In fact, we're going to talk about that in another episode because those are very important. Yeah. Stay tuned. It's very exciting stuff. Yeah. So one of the things I want to start off and just saying is that caregivers and patients are really good multitaskers. I think you're going to find that we're great managers. And it's because you learn to handle so much and delegate and have, get this done and get this done. So we are really good at this kind of stuff. You get better. It starts off kind of rough. And then
multitask.
And I think you've gotten better at it. I think it was very at first, because for you having to put school into different hours of the day or on days off, it was very frustrating. And you didn't probably want to.
No.
Yeah, I know you didn't want to. I'm like, let's not pretend.
Like, I love doing that.
Yeah, he didn't, but it's over time. It's just now it's a normal, and it's something that we've adjusted to. So on that note, we do homeschool. We go through a local academy, and Mason is responsible, just like every other student in our state, for meeting state criteria and standards. It's no different for him. We hear a lot that Mason's not in real school, or it's not school,
it's
fake
school.
And that's,
are you sure?
I feel like that's such a disservice to him and everything he does and the effort he puts in, because there are different ways to homeschool. And so granted, I'm sure some of you have a different image of what that might look like. But for us, we have high standards. Mason is a grade ahead and he is excelling. He's doing great. And I'm so proud of him. And I don't ever want someone to discredit him and think, oh, it's because it's homeschool. And No, it's so much more than that. And it's so challenging. And whether these kids are homeschooled or in school, it's really hard for them. And so I just really want to draw attention to be careful what you say, because a lot of you don't understand how much work that these kids are doing on a daily basis. The reality is it's just as much work as public school, but we just don't have the same disruptions. And so we're able to get Mason through, but he still has school all day. It's not like he's done in an hour and it's like, wow, I have all this free time. It's not
lots of homework and
he does. And so he's working just like other kids till around 4 in the afternoon to get everything completed. And he puts in the effort. And we're really proud of him for doing that, because he also has appointments during the school week. Yeah. And it's every other week. And those are set appointments. So we know at least every other week he's missing a day of school. And there's other appointments that we have on Wednesdays, on Fridays, depending what it is. So for him, he always has Saturday school. And I mean, I don't think
it's not fun, but it's necessary.
Yeah, it is. And so his day off, like when a normal kid would have a day off of school, it's for fun. His day off is spent at the hospital
for infusion.
Yeah, which isn't like, and the car rides. You have like, so you have,
when you do get home, you might not feel like doing school because they give you all that.
So you do pre-meds, you get Benadryl,
and you feel kind of tired. So you don't really feel like doing school.
Maybe. And sometimes you'll get a little headache from it.
Get a headache.
It depends how the infusion goes. And I know for us, we're pretty lucky. I know some people get taken down for a couple days by these. So that's really tough if you work too. You have to consider,
the disease is different for everyone. And so is the pre-meds or biologics.
It is. And it's very true. So you don't always know what somebody's going through or what they're facing. For Mason, I think he has to work harder. So it's going to look different and it's going to be more work. And we just have to figure out. So we always try to figure out how to manage the time so he doesn't feel like he's missing out on other activities too, which is kind of tough because you don't have a lot of extra time for activities. And if the disease is active, it also makes it hard to have any extra activities too. And like for me, I am not a patient, but I'm a caregiver. And with work, it did affect how I handled my work. I have to plan things out accordingly. And I have to make sure I have time set aside for my clients because I do have to work. Working isn't like optional for me, just like school's not optional for him. Yeah. So it's not like, he gets sick and suddenly I'm like, oh, I can quit my job. And Mason, you don't have to go to school anymore.
So you have to work a little bit more because you need the money for biologics.
Exactly. Life gets more expensive. So I know a lot of you out there who are patients and you are working, you're no longer in school, but you are working. That can also be a challenge for you too, to manage that time and with all those things we talked about, to get to work on time and be there every day. And it's tough, even if you commute and you are in a flare and you have an hour drive to work, which could like realistically be how it is for a lot of people here. That's also a challenge that a lot of people don't think about. Next time you're sitting in traffic, think about it. What someone else like with IBD, it could be, it's difficult. It's very difficult just to get to work, and you might be capable of working. It's just the difficult getting there, of sitting there. So remote work is great, I think, for patients. And just like school, it's in a way, it's like remote school, what you're doing. And so it's like these options, I think, should really be looked into more. And we will be probably talking about that in another.
So stay tuned once more.
I know. We keep doing these teasers, keep listening to us.
Is this a movie trailer?
Yeah. Not a very exciting one, but we're trying.
And the viewers might think it's exciting.
So now we're going to kind of wrap this up and talk about, how we plan our time accordingly. So how we make this work. One of the biggest tips that I can give you, and a lot of you may already be doing something like this, but if you're new to this disease and you need some advice, here's what we do. And again, share if you have any advice in the comments. We would love to hear it too. So for us, we have Treatment Tuesdays. So
Treatment Tuesday.
Almost as fun as Taco Tuesday, but you know,
Treatment Tuesday.
It's Treatment Tuesday.
It's fun.
Yeah. And so Treatment Tuesdays, we keep all of Mason's treatments on Tuesdays so that we always know when we're planning anything to block those days out. Don't put anything on there because we do these every 2 weeks year round. So say you're at the dentist and they're like, okay, we need you to come back in 6 months for your next appointment. Can we book you on this day? And you're not sure what day his appointment is going to fall on, but you know it's on a Tuesday. So you just block out Tuesdays. And what we do with those appointments, we shift them all to
Wednesday.
So like Wednesdays are like for dentists, ophthalmologists, pediatrician, physical therapy, dermatologist. Any of the extra appointments are going to be on a Wednesday. Yeah. So we know when we're at those appointments, we can plan out for those on a Wednesday, and it's not going to ever interfere with his treatment because treatment is number one. Those days really can't be adjusted. So the other days, if something happens to overlap, we can work that out, but we try to keep the Tuesday separate. So we plan a Tuesday for treatments, Wednesday for other appointments, and then we put like the orthodontist on Fridays. So we have Fridays with the orthodontist. And
Orthodontist Friday doesn't really go together. But
no, we could have been more creative with that, but we didn't. It's hard to do. So yeah, orthodontist Fridays.
Tuesday just works out.
Mason's getting closer to getting his Invisalign, I think, or braces, whatever we're going to do. But yeah, but he's already had several appointments because he did have a retainer at one point to hold teeth as more were coming in. And so we've been going to an orthodontist for a couple of years now. And it's going to become more appointments. So we're keeping that on Fridays so it doesn't interfere with Wednesdays or interfere with Tuesdays. So it sounds crazy, and it is.
Really? And it is.
And it is.
Really.
Yes. And but the reality is by planning this out the way that we are, it's very organized so we don't overbook or mess up appointments. So everything goes smoothly. So that's something maybe you can do too, have specific days. Also, the reason why this helps too is important. Like for me, when I have clients, I know what days or what times, to kind of schedule things for certain things I have to be spontaneous for. And the other good thing is we will plan for my husband's days off coincide with those Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So he's off. Yeah. So this is another thing. So those days he's off. A lot of you, I know this is a little more challenging because a spouse may have the weekends off, which is hard to do with these appointments. But for us, my husband has weekdays off. So that's why we chose Tuesday, Wednesday. So if I have to go into work or show a client that I can't move into a space that works, then he can at least make sure Mason gets to his appointments and make sure he stays on track. So that's how we also work that. So I can continue working and then he continues working. So it's busy, but it all works very well. And for Mason, like we were talking about, so your schoolwork, we plan for Saturdays for like a makeup day. So we'll take his Tuesday work and put it onto a Wednesday, and then Wednesday onto Thursday, Thursday onto Friday, Friday onto Saturday. And that has been working.
Each other.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of like, but it works. Yeah. And then when we have extra appointments in the week, like a Wednesday, we sometimes have to push it into Sunday. So we take like the weekend off and put it onto the Tuesday, Wednesday. So Mason, unfortunately, sometimes doesn't get like a weekend like other kids get. And I think a lot of you can relate to this. And so that's how it works for us as far as time management. We do figure out ways to have fun in here too and have activities. And the other thing is, let's see, we have our little list here. I don't want to miss anything. And also, it's worth mentioning again to ask questions and don't assume. Part of this is help others understand where you're coming from. You don't need to lose friendships or lose family over this.
Who you are. Yeah.
No, just be open about it. And I think it goes a long way because I think sometimes people, their feelings get hurt and they think that, you're not coming to my get together and they take that personally, but it's nothing personal. I mean, if you're in a flare, are you feeling like going to a friend's house? And right? No.
So I want to go, but I don't feel like it right now.
Right. No matter how much you like your friend, no matter how much you love your family, it is just going to be hard sometimes to do that. And so for planning things, it does make it tricky sometimes because sometimes you can commit to something and then things change. And so just, for you out there listening who don't have this, ask questions and never think that someone dislikes you. It's just the disease is invasive and it's difficult.
Does what it wants.
It really does. That's what they do. And so it's just being understanding of why someone can't make it, and just and being a supportive friend and understanding. And even like, say someone has a day off, don't assume that they're going to want to spend that day off, running around, going out and doing all kinds of stuff, or going to an event. Sometimes when you finally have a day off, like we said earlier,
relax.
You just want to relax because it has been a week. And if you ask someone, they tell you it's been a struggle, we're just tired, realize they're just tired. That's what it is. And they're being honest. It's a lot of exhaustion in a lot of directions. It's both physical exhaustion and mental exhaustion. And it's important for us to make sure Mason stays healthy and is not too stressed to where it's the exhaustion or the stress is going to cause him to be more ill. So that's our priority in all the time management, is to keep things moving seamlessly, keep things moving along. So what we always try to do is let you guys know you're not alone.
Yeah.
And so you can listen.
There's other people fighting with you.
And we're here. We're in this too. And so it's nice just sometimes to kind of regroup and just say, maybe you're going through this. Maybe you had a week too where you had to talk to insurance repeatedly, or maybe you're fighting for biologic. Maybe you're in a flare. Maybe you're hospitalized right now. And it's stressful. We get it. We understand. And hopefully you can even share this with somebody who maybe isn't as understanding. Ask them to listen to it and hear from that perspective so they better understand what's going on. So thank you guys for listening and tuning in. And you guys can follow us on Instagram at Team IB Determined. You can also listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and you can go to Buzzsprout for where you can find us and listen to us. And if you enjoy watching these,
you can watch on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to be notified every time we post a video, hit the bell. Don't be afraid to comment, because we'll definitely respond to you and we'll read it, because we don't have that many comments anyways. So we'll definitely get them.
We say this like every time.
Yeah.
And we're
so
like,
please don't be shy. Please comment. Ask questions.
Message me. We love hearing from you guys and knowing what we can talk about, because we want to talk about what's important to you. This is why we're doing this. And we want to have that solidarity and have people feel included, feel like they're not alone. And we want to have something you can share with family and friends and say, this is what it's like. This is what living with the disease is like. And so we think this is a great way to do it. So please let us know what's important to you guys. And if you want to give any feedback to what we talked about and just say hi. Cool. Yeah. Say hi.
Say hi in the comments.
Yeah. So
if you see this, say hi in the comments down below.
And we'll see how many. So we'll see, guys. But and if not, it's okay too. It's all right.
You don't have to.
We're bad about that ourselves with other YouTubers. There's things we watch and then we're like, oh my gosh, how long have we been watching this? And we never subscribed. So we do that too. So anyways, thank you guys for listening and for watching. And
we will see all of you in the next video.
We will.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to apply something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.